we're just lucky to be alive, aren't we? We're just lucky to be here, considering all of what our forefathers went through, our families went through to get here, to get to this very moment. Happy July 4th, everyone. I'm so excited. It's the 4th of July. I hope you're enjoying this day with family and friends. I am. That's what I'm going to do. I mean, we've been traveling so much, and as you all know, I was at Task Force Dagger, and I was diving with my family the whole last week, and actually getting certified in the full face mask with my husband. And that week was so important to me because that's what life is all about. It is about our families, it is about our country, it's about doing what we love, living life. I mean, that is what it should be. And that's what today should be about, about cooking out with your family. I love brisket, I love ribs, steak, chicken, whatever it is, hamburgers and hot dogs for the kids, having my friends over, sitting around the pool and just talking and remembering those that we love, and thinking about our nation and what that means to each and every one of us, and celebrating the fact that we are still here, and we are stronger than ever, and we will be stronger than ever. And that's what I want to focus on today. On today's show, I want to tell you what this holiday means from a couple of different perspectives. One, from me as a daughter of the revolution. Yes, that is on my father's side. They have been here since way before the revolution, and most of my dad's family came from Scotland, as well as some from Ireland and Great Britain. But from the Isle of Skye on my dad's side in Scotland, that's the Highlands. They were Highlanders, descendants of the Vikings. I've been reading about them. And I, and then coming here to this new land, establishing a new life. David McSwain was one of the first. David McSwain, and he established a new life here with his family. And one of the grave sites is actually, it's online. I have not been to it yet, but it's in a remote part of North Carolina. And one of our descendants, William McSwain, was buried there. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm also a daughter I'm the firstborn on my mother's side, family of immigrants from Cuba, as you well know. So I think that's interesting. They juxtapose each other. I'm a spouse of a U.S. veteran, a wounded war veteran, and my father was also a veteran. My grandfather was a veteran, and my great grandfather was a veteran. And I'm sure even before him, they were veterans. And I want to give you that little bit of that perspective. And most importantly, what it means to be a family, loving this nation, loving each other and our community. We're going to go down to the community pool and hang out with people in our neighborhood. We're also going to hang out by my pool. I'm so grateful and blessed to have one. When I was a kid, we were poor, especially after my dad died. And I'm going to go into it, but we were lucky if we had a kiddie pool. The plastic ones you bought at Kmart, and everybody would kind of jump into it. And I think even as I got older, we would just sit in there and chill out in California when the weather got really hot, or put on the sprinklers. That was our pool. So I'm grateful now to have a pool of my own with my family. I want to share those amazing stories with you today in this short episode to celebrate such an important day, liberty and freedom, America, the 4th of July, what it means and what it means to you. But first, gold and silver. I always talk to you about Allegiance Gold. Thank you, Allegiance Gold. Happy 4th of July to you as well. And thank you for being a sponsor of the Sara Carter Show. I tell everybody how important Allegiance Gold is. Why? Because Allegiance Gold allows you to diversify your funding. And that's really important, especially with your assets in this day and age. You need diversity. You need to diversify, diversify, diversify. And because reputation is important to me, the only company that I recommend is Allegiance Gold. And I'm so proud of them. Get $5,000 of free silver today, even on July 4th, on a qualifying purchase when you tell them that Sara sent you. Remember, Allegiance Gold has the highest ratings in the industry, 5 stars with TrustLink. AAA rated with the Business Consumer Alliance, and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. You can't get better than that. Get $5,000 of free silver on a qualifying purchase when you tell them that Sara sent you. So don't wait. Call or click today, 877-702-7272. That's 877-702-SARA, SARA, or go to protectwithsara.com. We can't control the Biden administration, folks, but we can prepare. 877-702-7272. That's 877-702-SARA, no H, SARA, or go to protectwithsara.com. So the 4th of July, I guess it means so much to me as a daughter of the revolution, right? Thinking about, and I'm just going to go back to my own childhood, where I would, and my dad was actually from Alabama. They had moved from Georgia to Alabama actually during the Great Depression. And these are the stories that I heard. On my dad's side of the family, he had 11 brothers and sisters. He was actually a World War II veteran, so he was a much older father when he had me. And I'm one of like 6 siblings. My brother Pierre's one of my older siblings. He's now, I want to just say how much I love him. He was in the hospital this past week, and I'm thinking about you, Pierre, because he also served in the military, in the Air Force, and I'm very, very proud of him and the fact that he has served. And I was thinking about my dad, and I was thinking about how proud he was when he would talk about being a Marine, and when I was very little, I remember him, with his gun doing kind of his thing, doing his drills and showing us. And I remember him very rarely, but he did twice speak to me about the war, and how difficult it was because he lost so many of his good friends when he fought in the South Pacific. And those sacrifices mean something, right? And I mean, we're just lucky to be alive, aren't we? We're just lucky to be here, considering all of what our forefathers went through, our families went through to get here, to get to this very moment in this podcast with you today is a miracle in and of itself. I mean, my father survived World War II by a prayer. A lot of men and women did not. They lost their lives on those battlefields, whether it was in the South Pacific or on the European theater front, or whether it was in Pearl Harbor. And God rest his soul, one of the last survivors, or the last survivor of the USS Arizona, passed away last week. I read that story. It's sad because they are the true representations of history, right? They were the people that lived it, that were there, that can tell us the stories. And now all we have is documented, thank God, videos of them or writings. And much like, I think, the very beginning of the American Revolution, we are who our forefathers made us to be, right? As long as we listen to them. It's that same blood that runs through my veins. The ones that soaked the grass of Lexington and Concord, the people that crossed the Delaware, that earned freedom from England and the monarchy. That value to our history is in our blood. It is who we are. We are the living, breathing proof of that past. We carry all of those elements with us. And our ancestors, they suffered and they fought and they believed in something greater than themselves, right? And that's what we do too. I mean, I think, and I know that's why my husband went to war. I know that's the reason why I covered the war for so long, and why we go to church, many of us, why we pray, why we have hope, why we have faith. You can't tangibly touch it, right? 4th of July, but it's not really tangible. It's a date. It's a period of history. It's something we put our faith in, that we believe in. It makes us better people because we choose not to forget the sacrifices made by our ancestors to give us this incredibly beautiful nation and make us who we are. And I try to live every day thinking like, am I living to the best of my ability? Now, not every day. Sometimes, I forget and I get just like everybody else. I mean, we're all the same, right? We have moments where we either get depressed or where we're frustrated or we think like, gosh, is there going to be any hope for this nation? Look what's going on on Capitol Hill, swampland. Look at all the people, at each other's throats. Can we trust what's going to happen in 2024? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. You want to know why? Because hundreds of years ago, when they didn't even have half of what we have today, they fought, they bled on this land, right? They believed in something greater than themselves. And those ancestors of ours, who many of us probably view as antiquated and, not as knowledgeable, not as culturally aware as we are today, whatever you guys want to think, those folks, my great ancestors, William McSwain and David McSwain and Newton, for crying out loud. I found a Newton in our family, and the Rogers and William Rogers and all of them, they did what they had to do to make this nation what it is today. They gave us the tools and the wherewithal and the history so that we could do it ourselves. And we value that history. And we value that with our families when we're sitting around maybe a fire pit or on the beach, today, or around your pool or hanging out with your friends or at the community center. You value that. And you think about that. And I value that even as the daughter, and more so as the daughter of a recent immigrant, right? My mother and her family. And my beautiful Aunt Margarita, my godmother, who is also recovering, oh my gosh, this past week from a stint at the hospital. And my gosh, all the amazing things that she has taught me and how much I love her and how close she was to my mom, God rest her soul, who passed away. It's very hard losing a mother. But my mother taught me, and this was, by the way, my mother's favorite holiday by far. I mean, she let me know every single day how great a nation and how blessed I was to live in the United States of America. Every single day. She said she had no desire, except towards the end of her life, where she wanted to go back to see Cuba, but she really didn't want to be there under communism. But every single day she said, this is her country. And if anybody would ask her, so where are you from? Or what are you? Or what's your nationality? She'd say, I'm an American. I'm an American first, and I'm a Cuban second. She was an American first. America first, right? I'm wearing my America first shirt. Why? Because I do believe in America first. I think that's totally okay. And it's not a bad word. It's a great phrase. It's a great, statement. Shouldn't you never, ever be afraid to say America first, no matter who you want to vote for. Because this country has given the world so much. Don't listen to these radical leftist liars. My mother fled a communist country, folks, because of radical leftist liars. Right? They took Cuba down a hell in a handbasket. That's exactly what happened. That's why the Chinese, the communists, are moving in there now and trying to set up shop, right? That's why we see people in North Korea starving to death and dying outside of train carts, just looking for some coal to heat up a room for their children and their families. That's why in China, or like Michael Moore, who says he goes to Cuba for medical treatment, what a bunch of malarkey. What a liar. What a liar. They're all just big liars. And in China, people are arrested and taken into custody just for breathing in the wrong direction, for being a Uyghur, for not having the same belief system. Our forefathers fought so that we didn't have to live like that. They left the monarchy of England. They had the foresight to see what government's power, absolute power, could do, the corruption that will ensue from absolute power, right? And they did it knowing that those sacrifices, that they may not reap the rewards of those sacrifices the way we are today. They built bridges for us. You know, it was interesting, and I can't remember who said this, but I never forgot it. It was like, you know, we think that our actions aren't making a difference, right? But they really, really are. You never should give up hope, right? At the top of the show, I said hope, faith, 4th of July, it's not really tangible. It's stories we read in books and historical documents. It's what made our nation great, but it's not something you can touch. It's not like, you know, picking up, you know, the Bible right here. You're picking up the Bible, but you have faith, right? I always keep my dad's little Bible with me here by my side. But you have faith that there is something greater than yourself. It's tangible only in the sense that you have that belief. When my mother left Cuba and came to the United States, you know, just like when her father left Spain and went to Cuba, you have to have faith that something will be better, that you're giving your children a better future, a better life. That is special. That is something that nobody can buy. That idea of liberty and freedom that's endowed by us, by our Creator, by our belief, our Judeo-Christian belief that we have the right to choose, not some crazy Marxist government like in China, you know, the Chinese Communist Party or the Iranian cult regime, or, you know, others out there like North Korean leader Kim Jong-il, who wants us to believe that they discovered the first unicorn lair, right? I mean, but that's what he does to his people. He lies to them, right? And they hide the rest of the world from them. They keep freedom away from them because instead of believing in you, they don't. They only believe in themselves. And they want to take away that freedom for you, that promise of freedom from you. You know, nothing is greater. Nothing is more powerful. Nothing is more amazing than freedom. And that's coming from the daughter of my family, a daughter of the revolution on my dad's side, a recent immigrant on my mom's side. I'm the firstborn in America. So I saw the struggles that my mother went through. She worked in a factory, for crying out loud, even after my dad died. And I mean, I was lucky I got to live in Saudi Arabia. I saw the world a little different while my dad was alive. But my dad was a mechanic for Lockheed Martin. We weren't in the oil industry. We had a blessed life because he worked his ass off. He literally did. I mean, he worked until the day he died. When they diagnosed him with cancer and I was young, my dad was at work. You know, he had a moment like they thought they had cured it and it didn't happen. My dad went back to work and sure enough, he had a seizure and the cancer had returned. And it wasn't much longer after that where my father lost his life, but not before he left me with this remarkable history of our family. And I said my father came, you know, on my dad's side from Alabama. Like my family had ended up buying a farm. His father, William, had saved a lot, enough money, I mean, as a cotton picker, because they picked cotton. They were not like lawyers and doctors and, you know, they were very, very poor people that picked cotton, saved up some money and bought a farm, an American dream, got harassed by the Ku Klux Klan for allowing their good friends who were a black family to farm with them. Almost burned my grandfather's house down. That was one of the most remarkable stories that my dad told me, and my family told me. And but they stood strong. They stood strong together in their community and in their beliefs and in their faith. And although it wasn't perfect, it made us who we are today. That's why we can't forget our history. That's why we can't forget who we are as Americans. And last but not least, we have to be willing to make those same kind of sacrifices. Those sacrifices mean something. This isn't just about barbecuing, right? This is about something bigger than ourselves. This is about protecting our nation. That's why my husband went to fight. I mean, he joined the military when he was 17. He never left. He continued to work for the government even after retiring from the military and continued to fight for our country. Despite everything, despite all of the hardships, it was just that important to him. So important, it became his whole life. It became my life. Not because I said, oh, it'd be so much fun to go to a war zone. I never thought that. I think I wanted to understand my dad a little bit more. I wanted to understand what it meant to fight, what it was like for him there. Growing up with a father who's a Marine from World War II is not easy. They are tough dads, and they are amazing. They're amazing people. Greatest generation for sure. But they're tough, and they had been through a lot, and they understood what sacrifices meant. My husband understands that. He lost his eyesight. Every single day, he is reminded, I am reminded of the war. I can't ever get tired of the war because the war is always with me. It is always with him. We just found a better way to deal with it. And our family understands that. And we also understand, folks, that this is not the last time that Afghanistan, Iraq, what is happening in Ukraine, these are not the last wars. In order to protect this beautiful land, you have to come to terms with what you are. And this is a tough thing to come to terms with. I'm going to tell you why. Because your forefathers, your ancestors, even if you're a recent immigrant, even if you're a daughter or a son of the revolution, even if you came here through Ellis Island, your family, they left you with a mission. And that is one that you cannot take lightly. I remember an old rabbi that I met once, and he said, the families should love each other enough to honor each other. That means when you go out in public, you don't do stuff that embarrasses your family, right? You don't do stuff that, that you would shame them with. Well, I take that even further. I believe that you have to honor your ancestors the same way, and that they have taught us lessons about protecting our nation and living our lives, maybe not perfect, but they've given us that strength and that faith to protect this beautiful land for our children and our future family members and our great-grandchildren and so on and so forth. It's up to each and every one of us. Guys, I don't know if you've seen the movie yet, Sound of Freedom. 4th of July, today is the day. So whether you're hearing this in the morning, you haven't seen it yet, or you're hearing it at night, and yes, Sarah, we went and saw it, or if you haven't seen it yet at all, you need to go get your tickets at angel.com/freedom. I'm going to tell you why. Eduardo Verástegui has fought for 8 years along with the rest of the team to get this movie out in public, and now it's in theaters. It is the most uplifting film in the world, although gut-wrenching uplifting, because it shows that one person can make a difference and save a child's life. Every year, over 2 million children are trafficked around the world. Now, this movie is aimed at raising awareness to this often unseen horror. Sound of Freedom from Angel Studios, the same folks that produced The Chosen. Yes, The Chosen movie, best TV series about Jesus Christ. I love it by far. It's so great. I've watched it over and over again, and I've seen Sound of Freedom, and it's remarkable. Thank you, Eduardo, for such a brilliant film, and we're doing that this morning as well. Sound of Freedom is out now. Purchase your tickets online. New theaters are added daily, so please check the website for current information. Angel.com/freedom. Help spread this message worldwide. Sound of Freedom in theaters today. Get your tickets today to help raise awareness of this issue that often goes tragically unnoticed. Find a theater near you by visiting angel.com/freedom. By supporting Sound of Freedom, you'll contribute in raising awareness and propelling a movement. You'll be a part of a movement to save millions of children around the world. Get your tickets today at angel.com/freedom. That's angel.com/freedom. Folks, it's been just such a blessing to have you as a part of my life here at the Sara Carter Show and on Fox News and everywhere I travel around the world. I read your comments. I get your emails. I can't thank you enough. You know, you can email me at saracarterofficial@gmail.com. That is saracarterofficial@gmail.com to leave any comments. I would love to hear what the 4th of July means to you. You can also leave that on my social media. I want to hear about it. I want to talk about it. Happy 4th of July. Believe in liberty and freedom. Believe in it. It's there. It's real. Go see Sound of Freedom. Maybe late at night, watch Independence Day. Not that excited about Will Smith. Not all the time, but that movie rocked. It was so much fun to watch with your kids. Follow me on Truth at Sara Carter Official, on Twitter at Sara Carter DC, and on Instagram at scarterdc. God bless our great nation and every single one of you. And thank you, God, for giving us this ability to live this amazing life in this day and age. And I know for me, I will never forget where I came from and the people who loved me and gave me what they did so that I can appreciate this nation. I know you do too. God bless you. God bless our great nation. And folks, God bless the great state of Texas. Happy 4th.